Hi everybody. I wanted to give you some pointers and points to think about as you're reading the Otherness article and also watching the Couple in the Cage video. So the Otherness article is a really foundational text that it will be important for you to kind of keep in mind as we go through the whole course. And if you look on Canvas, I included some important terms to keep in mind and their definitions, such as exotic, exoticism, other, othering, in-group, and out-group. So be sure to look at those. So in terms of the article, it really kind of references the Western world. And so here the Western world means like Europe, right? And the European countries, especially in terms of colonial power. And how they're relating then to what would be considered the New World, such as the Americas, Asia, what they term to be the Middle East, and whatnot. So in the article, otherness it's important to think about it less as a reflection of the difference of the other. It's less about really what's present in the other, and it's more about the point of view of the person creating this idea of othering. So it's more of like a reflection on the writer. It really has a lot more to do with the what would be called the self in quotes, or the West, right? So it's kind of like the West seeking a way to reassure itself that it's okay, right? That everything it does is normal and everybody else is not normal, right? So otherness is kind of allowing, in this case, the West, but it happens in many, many societies, kind of saying the norm is what we value and we get to decide what the norm is, and anything else that we see as faulty, as not as valuable, is the other. And then that justifies our discrimination of that group. Okay. So here, the dominant group, the in group, gets to decide who the other is, right? And so they can use that idea of othering to justify colonialism, to justify policies that are racist, to justify a lot of kind of internalized thinking about the other. It's kind of this like self-soothing in a really strange way. Also, this can relate to exoticism, because even though the other may be praised for being exotic, for being beautiful, for being so different and so unknown, this really maintains these stereotypes and these boundaries of otherness. So it's accentuating that difference. Even though it may be saying that it's beautiful, it's doing it in a way by saying because it's different, right? And so that's still kind of creating this sense of comfort of the superiority of the self, or in this case, the West. So when we look at exploration, when explorers, geographers, later ethnographers kind of set out to document the physical and the human world that they find, they use these ideas of othering to kind of permeate this study that they have. And the study is just reinforcing these values of the self and the other, reinforcing this difference by saying, we study you because you're different than us, right? And so this us and them is creating this in-group and the out-group, and it's putting them in opposition with one another. So this is creating this idea of dichotomy, right? This binary, that it's only the in-group is okay, and needs this identification to maintain itself, right? So it needs to know who it is in opposition to something else, right? So it's a way to say, okay, we are we, you are you, right? Kind of a strange concept, but we'll talk about it some more in class. So yeah, like I mentioned, many, many cultures have used this. In the West, it kind of goes back to Greek times. And so this idea of otherness has gone back quite a ways. But when we look at exploration and tourism and travel, it really kind of continues, right? And when we look at Columbus, this is a big theme in a lot of his writing, and it just moves forward to then even to the present time. And so this thinking of the group as other is kind of maintaining this self-superiority. Oh, also something that I mentioned about exoticism is that it's really less of like a pleasure of confronting otherness than this pleasure and the satisfaction of experiencing the sight of the other as a reassurance, right? A reassurance that we're all right. These fantasies that we have about the strange other are true, and everything's going to be okay for us because we can go back to the comfort of our normalcy afterwards. I see this in a lot of travel shows, and if any of you watch, like, say, Bizarre Foods, that's a big one. Saying, wow, let's see how strange and different everything else out there in the world is. And wow, isn't the food at home so bland and plain and normal, right? I want these new experiences. And that's really an extension of othering. Now, when we look at Couple in the Cage, I want you to watch this and just kind of don't look up anything about it beforehand. Watch it and kind of give your true reaction. So watch the film up from the beginning to about minute 13:30, and then write the first part of your journal. So just think about your reaction to it. What are you feeling about what you're seeing? What are you feeling about the audience's reaction to them? That's a big part of it. And if you have a really strong reaction to this, that's all right. And I want you to state that. Then after you've written, then continue watching the film, and as you watch the rest of it, I want you to think about connecting what you're seeing to the othering article, to ideas of othering. How is this connected to the history of colonization? And kind of really kind of think deeply about that. And then you can do some research on it afterwards. Okay, thank you very much.